Hey, so after a competition, what I tend to do for my athletes, or what I've started to do a lot more, is just give them some feedback in the form of just video recordings and voiceovers, just so they've got a bit more of a visual explanation of what I'm talking about. And obviously, I'll try and add a bit more sense to it as well. But I thought I'd just give it an example of what I do and what the coaches do at Over to help the athletes get the most out of their lifting over the coming weeks so they can try and improve on their performance. So I'm just going to do a bit of a technique analysis kind of on myself. So it's just good for me to reflect and go back over. So key things that I'm aware of, but for the sake of this video, key things that I need to improve. If we look at the symmetry of the kettlebells overhead and in the clean position, there's a bit of a discrepancy there, which is what that means is the body's going to be working a little bit harder, and obviously there's just a little bit of asymmetry. It may be affecting performance, it may not, but it's definitely something that I'm going to have to explore just to help me get the most out of the movement and my lifting. So that's kind of the first thing of looking at kind of range of movement in certain areas and also strength in certain movements, just to see if I can get a little bit more out of my body in terms of being a bit more symmetrical. So that's kind of the first thing that I've highlighted in this set. The next thing that I looked at in this set was also as I get fatigued, I tend to pull a little bit early. So if we try and catch it, I start applying force into the floor a little bit too early, which is then forcing the kettlebells to come out and then down. So what I need to try and do is to try and keep it as consistent as I possibly can. So when this clean comes through my legs, it's coming into this position. Okay, it's more of I'm applying force when my chest is tall. As you can see, as I start to fatigue, my chest is a bit pointing downwards. If we look at the Nova logo in the middle, on my acceleration pull, it's not quite as tall as what I want it to, which means that I'm not pulling backwards with my body, which is costing me reps, which is forcing me to have to pull the kettlebells up with the upper body rather than kind of pushing down into the floor. So a cue that I like to use with my athletes is the floor is the button that sends the kettlebells up. You know, as daft as that sounds, it really is true. So I want to be trying to push down into the floor, but only when my torso is in a good position, i.e., the chest is tall and I'm applying force in a good position. I'm not having to force the kettlebells to come out and then back into the clean, nice and high, which is exactly what's happening here. So as we look and come through, pulling and then having to catch with the shoulders, not on top of the shoulders, but with the fronts of the shoulders, which allows me to get my hand in, which is just not great lifting at all. So a couple of things for me to work on: the bit of asymmetry, just to explore if that is an issue or if it isn't an issue, and trying to stay consistent with my movement in the clean even further in this set. So a bit more of a work capacity issue on that one. So yeah, just want to share a bit of feedback on my set on how I will try and improve my lifting going forward.